darkness in this world is about to be pulled out of everything.
Well, listen up! There is a storm coming! Like nothing you have ever seen! And not a one of you is prepared for it!
There's no more secrets, just ignorance.
And I like contests.
I like contests.
In fact, we're setting up a new contest. And the winner of this contest is going to get $100 at the end of the year.
Whoa.
Aha.
And we're going to call this the most powerful statement contest. You know how there's these like aha moments we have every show?
We do.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So here's the rules. I'm excluding myself. You can nominate anyone but yourself, and then we'll all vote on the entries we have. So I'm going to get a start because there's one that I would like to nominate. It's the first and only nomination that I've got. It's actually from KJ. It appears at the 54-minute mark of episode 6, and it is, and I quote, "I love any retarded friend I've ever met in my life." Now, you guys are welcome to submit entries. I don't see that getting beat, but I'm just saying. I know where I'm putting my money.
I am an absolute genius.
If nothing comes up between now and November, you remind me, because right now, you are in first place.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
You can't coach that.
No, you can't.
You
No.
can't fake a genius.
You can't. I mean, you're either born with it or not.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
I was going to say that. It might be.
Shout outs. Dwayne Dietz, how are you, buddy? I didn't say hello to you properly last time. Dwayne was an investor in our first movie, and
Awesome.
he deserved a lot more of a hello than the stone face
thank you,
I kept on my
Dwayne.
computer.
Hi, Dwayne.
Grateful girl, you're in my prayers.
Awesome. That's the game plan.
We're still operating gas-fueled computers, though.
We're on dial-up.
Right.
Michael Chandler, he also asked an interesting question about the District of Columbia, which got me thinking about something. Meeks, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Will you do me a favor and just find out what the god Columbia means? Does that mean anything?
The god?
The
Columbia?
god. Is there a god or a demon named Columbia? What is its significance? And there is something to it. In fact, the name is woven into all of the space shuttle names. If you read the names of all the space shuttles back in order, it actually gives you the message of the New World Order.
Whoa.
Again, we're not going to get into NASA today, but we could.
Right.
But we're not skipping that subliminal sex images show either. So,
Thank God.
They're everywhere.
okay, so Michael Chandler asked the question. He was like, "Are you aware that Washington D.C. is essentially its own nation inside of our borders?"
I am aware
You
of
guys are all aware of this?
One of 3, right?
I wasn't aware of that.
Very interesting. There are 3. There are more than 3 nation states, but this is like a city nation state.
Itself.
There are 3 of them. Anyone else want to take any guesses at beside? And they all have some very strange similarities. And I'll also give you a hint. These 3 cities right now, I believe they are Satan's seat of power in the world. And from these
Well,
3
Los
cities,
Angeles.
Nope.
he can control just about everything.
London and the Vatican.
Yeah.
Really?
Now, they've all got,
Because
again,
I would say Los Angeles because they have such a pull.
They're
with
just
the imagery and
they're just the
everything.
media arm. Los
Okay, they're the
Angeles is
puppet.
controlled out of Langley, Virginia, and the whole government complex is controlled out of D.C. So it's interesting because Washington D.C. is set up with its own laws. It is not. It's sovereign. It does not submit to U.S. law. It operates by a different set of rules. Yet it runs everyone in the U.S. by proxy, and it's its own nation. Then you go to London, same thing. It's called the City of London. It's actually a nation within the city of London. And from that, the real power of pretty much the entire European Union disseminates. And then the third one you named, Vatican. There again, same MO. They set up their own little city-state with their own rules, their own police force, and not subject to the laws of the nation that surrounds them. And from my perspective, the USA is long corrupted. I mean, I'd be surprised if God isn't into blessing this country anymore. I mean, we've gone off the cliff. We're killing babies like crazy. I grew up I was like a pro-choice guy. I'm like,
Me too.
who are these crazy people saying a woman owns her body? She owns her body. She can do what she wants. Finding God, I've completely flipped. Because I now realize what's really going on, and that is we are sacrificing more children now. In fact, 50 million in this country since Roe versus Wade. 50 million. Think about that. That's a nation.
Jeez.
And we are doing more child sacrifice now than...
Besides all of the satanic things that can happen, it's also the organ harvesting, and to have a fresh, brand new baby that's delivered out that the mother doesn't want. Right now, they're waiting for the trucks to roll in, $50,000 to make off that baby, and the mother gets nothing.
We're already a slippery...
She gets a lifetime of regret is what she gets.
She does.
So, bam.
Fathers, too.
Hashtag bam.
What is cool, though, and I do believe that these near-death experiences, I believe at least, let me put it this way, of the millions that have been reported, I believe at least one of them is true. Because if one of them is true, then there's something going on.
There used to be a show about it. And they canceled it real quick. It wasn't on for that long, but it was fascinating.
If a show is bringing people to God and you find it on the McDonald's menu of cable, it's not going to be around much longer.
That's why Jesse Ventura was canceled. It's too deep down the
maybe.
rabbit hole. You remember that one?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was fine until he found all the FEMA coffins.
Oh.
Next thing you know, his show was gone.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the big one
because it was just bam, gone. It's like, oh, they caught up to this. My favorite was the New Denver airport. That was my favorite.
Just to cut in here, if I may, I'm finding all this talk online. If I'm not searching on Google, not much pops up on Google about the goddess Columbia. But I know she is used as some sites are calling her an Illuminati moon goddess. But it's clear that she represents America, or she's representing.
Is that who the Statue of Liberty?
Yeah. There's a site talking about. Columbia is both a very young goddess and a very old one. Ancient Romans worshipped Libertas, goddess of liberty, among many other virtues personified. So I think it's just an appropriation of this ancient Roman god Libertas. But they use the Columbia for everything. I mean, when you really, there's District of Columbia, Columbia Pictures, Columbia Broadcasting System, Columbine shooting. Columbus, Christopher Columbus.
I mean, Columbus didn't even discover America. No. In fact, I always call that sheep level 1. If you're ever in an intellectual conversation and you say Columbus discovered America, just get out of the room and go hide.
Well, that's a trick question because it's obviously not one, right?
Well, then there's sheep level 2, which is who's quote-unquote the quote-unquote real guy that discovered America. Well, his name is Amerigo Vespucci. Okay. But he didn't discover America either, because the Phoenicians we know for a fact, were mining copper actually out of the Upper Peninsula in Michigan 5,000 years ago.
When they discovered it, there was already people.
Exactly. I mean,
those people already
just understand.
Discovered it, but I'm going to kill you and kick you out.
History
so that's just like
has been rewritten completely.
Discovering it.
Yeah. But
discovered it.
Of that being deceptive, with it coming in to fruition with Washington, right? The founding fathers would have created Washington D.C.
Hi.
Well, I don't think that's a good question of when Washington D.C. was incorporated. I mean, our capital, it actually for a time, I believe, was in Philadelphia. Then it was in New York. Then it ended up in D.C.
My point being the point of calling it, Columbia. Maybe it was as simple as liberty for all that which we stood for. Maybe it wasn't a negative name, but of course, until you bring up Columbine, well, that makes a totally different.
There's even a rugged hiking clothing line called Columbia, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
That's right.
Oh my God.
Good
that's
observation.
funny.
I just found a great little blurb. Can I read it to you guys?
Yes,
And
baby.
this, have in mind the image of Columbia Pictures, like Hollywood's Columbia Pictures, with the lady with the. She looks like the Statue of Liberty holding this illuminated cup or something, or wand. Okay, so the female goddess deity we refer to as Columbia is in all actuality just a reference to the pagan occult goddess worship concepts laid forth by Aleister Crowley, who met with Aiwass, a guardian angel of similar form. Aiwass was defined by Crowley as being Lucifer, although Crowley seemed to imply it was an incarnation of Horus, blah, 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 blah. They are all the light-bearer goddesses, the meaning of Lucifer, who tie into Venus, Semiramis, or in this case, Columbia. All are different masks on the same face. That's kind of what I think, too. It's just, it's like pagan goddess worship
Can
of
you
illumination
send that to me,
and stuff.
whatever you're reading? Because I want to read that more.
You know who
Oh,
Aleister
I'll
Crowley
post it in the
We'll put it-
edited version.
is? He's a founder of
IlluminatiWatcher.com.
That's
Thanks,
Anton LaVey.
Illuminati.com.
Aleister Crowley he's a Luciferian. Difference between Satanists, these are the dumbest of Lucifer's followers. They're just
Okay.
the dumbest of the dumb because they're just following Satan and really trading nothing for it. Because Satan can offer you the riches of this world.
Right.
That's all he can offer you. He can make you famous. He can.
Satan sells his disciples on power and control. What's interesting is even when I get emails from some very nefarious, openly worshiping Satanists, they'll make the statement, Russ Dizdar is telling the truth. There's power in the blood.
He can bring you fans. In fact, that's one thing I was going to talk to you guys about today, which, it goes towards, we're doing this a little out of order because I want to talk about this in the second half. Just remind me, we're going to circle back to it. And
We're never going to remind you. Just say it now. No one's going to remember.
So we spend a lot of time talking about this scary stuff. And when I go back and I'm editing these episodes and the point is to not be scared. Like, there's a reason Meigs and I aren't scared one iota over this. I was for a while, don't get me wrong. I went through a paranoid phase, through someone's following me, with just some strange things. Strange things are they've already begun happening, and just understand, not everything that seems good is good.
Right.
All right, your eyes, those scales are just now coming off, and while that vision's still fuzzy, you are going to just be attracting a lot of attention. Meigs, you got a comment on any of this?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, when I first became born again, I was telling you guys in one of the last episodes that I was just a whole wriggling, like, wild mess of fear. I just couldn't. Felt like I was going to throw up all the time. Because it's like, once you research all this stuff, it's like you find eight, which becomes 80 other, which becomes 800 other rabbit holes to dig into. And it pretty much, you're up to your eyeballs in as much horrifying research as you can handle in a day. And my dreams, I was having like demonic dreams and stuff when I was first coming to God. It was like I was being punished. Like, I felt spiritually like I was getting spiritually attacked when I had never even thought that was real before.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, this stuff is real.
Good
It's
and
in my
evil forces
face.
coming at your soul and whatnot. Is it okay to trust your instinct, or do you not go by instinct?
You don't trust. This is just it. You do not trust. This is the hardest thing.
Okay.
We
Good
are
question,
taught
though,
to
right?
go by what feels right, what our
Right.
gut, what our intuition is.
And that's what they tap right into.
And that's what I tried that for 5 years.
Yeah.
Dude, it almost left me in a straitjacket.
Right.
In fact, the Bible even says, don't even trust your own thinking, your own heart.
You
Just
can't.
trust the words here. Because,
Trust nobody.
look, evil what is evil? Anything that keeps us from heaven is my definition of evil at the end of the day. And the things that keep us from heaven do not come at us looking evil. They actually come at us in the form of love, intimacy, intense relation. You'd be surprised. It will mask itself, and you don't find out till much later when you're in a much tougher situation and you're vulnerable now. And that's where a lot of people lose God, or God loses a lot of people, because they're so deep into a situation. It's already hard enough to separate because your life's going to change. This is what I was talking about with Meigs on the way up here. If you think you're going to find God and quote unquote an eternal salvation, which there is not a doubt in my mind that is absolutely the truth of our world. It just blows me away. I'm still 8 years into this. I still have a hard time getting my arms around it, but it's something that I know. I also know this from experience, and Meigs can comment on this too. Your life's not going to stay the same. Your friends are going to change. It's not that you need to change. It's not like, oh my gosh, I want to be closer to Jesus. I have to stop drinking now. And then you focus on that. It's going to kind of happen naturally. Like pot used to rule my life. Like it owned me. It was my idol.
Pot rules.
And I'll still smoke it, but it does not control me at all like it used to.
Right.
Like I was a wake up, smoke, go to bed. I mean, I'm smoking I don't even think I was ever not
Oh
high.
my gosh, the atrocity.
I smoke while I smoke.
I smoke in my
The supplier is in total control. There's no
Have you ever
supply and demand.
crack? No,
No, I'm just saying.
At least it was just weed that ruled you and nothing else. So be thankful.
Yeah, like
True
I said,
that.
I'm
Thankful. God's green.
I'm a
goods.
PG guy at the end of the day. Usually.
God's green.
This is all part of a
goods.
past life. And we're going to talk a lot about it because
Past lives.
you guys are starting to at least consider some possibilities and starting to where are you guys right
I
now?
don't hate you as much as I did the first episode.
Really?
I'm going down a weird
growing on you a
spiritual.
little
She used to hate me level 9.
path.
We're down to hate level 4. I'm
I
moving up the
consider the
rankings.
things you say now a smidgen, a slight smidgen.
Well, since we began, I've been going down a weird spiritual path of my own. So I'd say I'm learning a lot.
Yeah?
Yes. Thank you.
From here on out, it's mostly out of our control. It's now going to become something personal.
I never thought it was your control. I've always thought it was personal.
No, we never had control. All you can do in this world is, this is the only thing you can do of lasting value. And I'm sitting here, I was going to show you something about getting prepared to handle the life changes that are coming. But there's so much technical buffoonery going on right now. I don't even.
It is
surprise
Mercury
my-
in retrograde, if anybody believes in that. All the electric
Man,
stuff's
the
gonna happen.
spirits that the ones.
vibrations are high right now. What you're saying?
Mercury's
All right,
goes
Lord,
backwards. So,
hook it up, please. Let's get this.
Yeah.
Let's get this
We
going.
get a little stumbling.
Let's get
oh
these.
Lord, won't you let us play
Any
a
demons
video
around in here,
right
in the name of
now?
Jesus, just go. Go meet us at Micknose. We'll be over there in 2 hours.
We need a
Only goodness can surround us.
That's right. Yeah. as
we
long
need
as
an
you have positive
exorcism or
look.
something in this room.
Yeah, they're
We
called
need 3 Hail Marys. And
deliverance.
We need to release all the I don't know, what are they called?
I'll tie this into the gifts. I'll tie this into what Satan has to offer. He has to offer you money and fame. Now, there's some people in this room that have reached a moderate level of fame where you've got, you guys have tens of thousands of people that follow you. You guys do anything. And I see, I see 400 comments
I
from
never
people.
wanted to be famous or make that much money because I don't really care. Isn't that weird? What's up?
Oh, first of all, this is Raina. We didn't really say hello. Did we say hello on air?
Kind of.
No, we
Not
didn't, and
really.
I would like to
Pointing that way.
formally meet her. I did like a high five over here, but that's kind of rude.
Thank you for joining us. And I know we're just,
Well, y'all should all meet her.
Raina Love.
we're rookies at a lot of stuff. We're coming around. But we have good hearts. For the
She
most.
was a big participant in our show.
All right, Jet Life.
to
I'll
meet
see you,
you.
pal. Is that your boyfriend, by the way?
No, my camera person.
All right.
Oh,
I
okay.
do media.
Really? You have a camera person that goes with you everywhere?
Yep.
High five.
She's all there. And
Chet,
80,000 bags of chips.
Chet, I'm about to go to the bathroom and take a shower. Will you set up the tripod, please? All right. We're not going to get down that hole right now, but you become your thoughts. I mean, we all, that is the true, I mean, so Meegs, what was your purpose in life before you met God, and what's your purpose now, and what does it do to you?
You know what? It was like chasing this dream of becoming this famous artist, this famous painter, and while that may sound kind of nice and maybe even like noble in some ways, now I just really I'm looking at it and I'm like, I know that it was out of egotism. It was out of, I was operating in ego land, like I just wanted money, fame, and power from it, but I also wanted to express myself, but like I didn't, basically I was only living for myself, and I was pushing people out of my life so I could chase this dream of getting big in the art world. And honestly, like it wasn't, it just didn't feel good for my soul if I really sat down and looked at how I was living my life.
That surprises me though. That surprises me though, because when you do art and you're expressing yourself,
but she did it for the wrong reasons.
Right,
that's the complete difference. It's all intention.
Yeah.
It's all intention. If you completely do it blindly with the intent to just do it for expression,
for fame and money,
expression, no,
no,
Your art.
For the art of it, for the
Right.
expression,
The
for
feeling.
possible change in the world, for a positive influence, that's where you'll get real fans, real interaction, real response, real influence. You know what I'm saying? That's invaluable in comparison to money, because money doesn't really exist when we, come down to it. So that's where you actually succeed. People misunderstand the word success, for money and finances, when in all reality, being a successful artist would be like a positive, influential artist.
It would feel
you know
better.
what I'm saying? Oh, absolutely, in your soul. And that would feel way better than like any kind of money in your pocket or in your bank account. You'd still be searching for something with all that money in your pocket and in your bank account. That's what it comes down to.
For sure. That was put beautifully. Is that
Thank
Sid that was talking?
Yes,
Right,
Meegs.
okay.
I love you from far away.
That's right. She's always
Love
confusing
lovely.
Sid and KJ. You
We
guys
both
all
have
look
very
alike. You guys all look
sultry
alike to me.
voices.
But yeah, for me though, it was just, I felt like I
Good
was,
one.
I felt like I was expressing myself, but when I look at it, getting in the truth community for a couple of years, looking back at what I was doing and looking back at how we've all been socially engineered to kind of be like little snowflake people and to worship the art world and the entertainment industry in a way, and to devote our lives to what may actually not be as significant as we think it is. And now I am working to try to help people, not just myself now, but also I want to throw in looking into, for example, Pizzagate. I know this is out of left field, but there was a famous artist who, in art school, I was taught to worship this woman, Marina Abramovich.
Really?
And it turns out that we were taught to worship her, and I loved her. And now I see that she's doing satanic ritual in her art.
Yeah.
And
Don't love her too
involved
much.
with
She might
GHC
serve you at
and
Thanksgiving.
the
Oh, yeah.
spirit cooking
Like,
and stuff.
literally.
That makes me so sick.
That was
I don't
probably
even
a
know what
fork
to
in the
say.
road right there. That was a test, that was your favorite person. You had loyalty to that person, and you had to choose to be above and beyond that and see the truth.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and now I think the art movement, the art world is largely probably was always a CIA infiltration. At least the modern art movement and contemporary art seems.
That's evil's MO. They've been doing it all throughout history.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Entertainment, art, it's all the same thing. Any mode, you know what I'm saying? It's all, it's crazy. They infiltrate it all,
But you know, I
video
feel like
games,
it's
you know,
hard
whatever you are.
It's hard to judge what's good and bad with the entertainment or the art or whatever because it moves you.
You know
it
what-
moves your soul, whether it's
But
music
which
or,
part?
or what
That's
you're,
what you have to kind of
art that you're staring
associate.
at. If it tweaks something inside of your soul and
Does it
moves
make you want to go steal stuff? Does it make you want to go have
No, art should make you
sexual
just feel
relations with random
something.
people? You know, like music does stuff like this to you. You have to realize, like, and it could be some random song that means nothing. You know, the words actually have no meaning. It doesn't make any sense, but the feeling that you get from them is very real,
Right.
whether the words mean anything or not. There's a certain feeling associated with that certain song that makes people do this certain thing.
It's almost hypnotic.
Well, we covered it last week. Satan, he was the head musician in heaven. He knows how to make music
I love
that
me
make.
some music, man.
And I mean, you get the right music, dude. You could have me wanting to kill someone, have
Yep,
sex
that's
with
true.
someone.
Yeah, it's under their spell.
You know what I'm
But
saying?
Lucifer's job before he became Satan was the worship of God, Ezekiel 28. And the thing is, the tabrets and the pipes were his. That means he was a musical instrument. If you look at the power of music, the transformation of the human brain by specific frequencies, and Joe would know about this, 440A is not the good, tuning to be tuning to. A lot of people say the harmonics of creation should be closer to 432A. Well, that's not just a guitar tuning regimen. There's an actual purpose in that because one produces harmony, true harmony, not talking about singing harmony, but I'm talking about, if you will, subatomic harmony versus dissonance.
But
And
that
so
all
very
goes
broad.
back to vibrations and sound once again. So there are true tones and then there are manipulated tones. So the manipulated tones are the ones that are bad for you and they're going to make you do bad things without you even realizing it. And then there's the true tones that can heal you with absolutely nothing. And they date back to the pyramids, you know what I'm saying, where they had literally the pyramid and the sun.
Chants.
Yeah.
Chanting.
Exactly.
Like
using your voice,
432
using
hertz.
vibrations, you can heal.
Like what makes?
Yep.
Like 432 hertz, how you change. The music industry releases songs at 440 hertz, which when you do cymatics, the water you can see is all jagged and stuff. But at 432 hertz, you can convert the music and it has these beautiful shapes and patterns. But they purposely release music at 440 hertz. Which
It's
is
a
a jagged,
miscommunication
painful
like cancer. How I was
frequency.
explaining that cancer is a miscommunication of cells. It's the same thing with sounds and human beings. You can simply give them a misinformed message or whatever you want to say, something that's not meant for them to hear, and it completely messes up their whole DNA and their thought patterns and their feelings and their actions and everything. Once it hits your DNA, you're kind of effed, just to be honest with you, unless you do something progressively to combat that, because at that point, you are literally fighting it every day. It's already within your body, within your mind. It's infiltrated your thought process. So you literally have almost like a demon or a devil talking to you every day. You don't even realize it.
So I
these
play the
bad
Beatles
thoughts,
backwards and
there's
see how
these
you
bad
feel.
thoughts in your head that you don't even understand where they're coming from. You may think that you're a bad person. You may think that this is you. It's not.
You missed all the good subliminal stuff we talked about. We showed all these crazy videos. Oh man, you'd be shocked. But hey, Tony, you're
I
awfully
fight this
quiet.
every day, so that's why I can talk about it.
Trying to get back around, you guys have mentioned the video games, and I'm not much of a gamer. I know a lot of, say,
Me
kids
neither.
and parents are,
No.
but there's so many more parents that don't play the video games. It's an easy way for them to slip images in those games because I don't play any of these first-person, whatever, shooter games.
I don't want to
or-
go around shooting people.
Like
No,
It's
no,
surround
but I'm
sound
just
stereo.
saying the things that they can drop into those video games that you and I would never see, where they're tempting children. That-
So demonic,
Huh?
demonic.
Exactly.
Yeah, the
Oh,
Momo,
that
yeah,
was,
exactly,
people
the
are
Momo
saying it's
thing.
not real, that Momo thing. But it did make parents take a good look at themselves and what they're
I did
letting their
have
kids watch. So
somebody, and I'm
Momo
just
served
gonna
a
say that
purpose.
just because there have been people saying like, oh, it's not real, y'all should just watch your kids. I did have a personal friend of mine saying that their kid watched it and ended up cutting themselves.
Wow.
Over.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I have seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, I haven't had any physical evidence of, personal people that I know being affected by this. Maybe it's not real."
It made parents take a good look at their kids.
I don't think that that's a good argument, but my point is that there has been evidence, and even if there hasn't, the point is that this is trying to coerce them into doing something bad. The point is I have physically seen somebody that I know witness it. So I don't know. It's not just a conspiracy. Maybe they're making millions of dollars from that art piece now that it really was. I'm sure that they do have a lot more attention, as far as the media, but the fact that they're trying to coerce children to do horrible things, and not tell their parents or else they'll get in trouble or whatever, that's horrible.
Yeah, it is.
I just listened to this podcast, Crow 777. They were actually analyzing. They took the soundtrack, one of the songs or overlaid soundtracks of the video game Doom, and they put it through a visualizer, and they found that there was images inlaid in the audio track that were pentagrams, and like 666 is inlaid in the track. And I don't know exactly how to explain how they did that, but they analyzed like video game soundtrack and found they're like, what is all this stuff in there?
And according to some reports, Cyberdemon has in the spectrograph pentagrams and 666 symbols. So I wanted to go ahead and check it out myself. Here's the spectrogram software. This is Isotope RX5. It's made for, cleaning up and fixing audio stuff. And I'm just going to go open the file here, Cyberdemon. Sure enough, here they are. You can see the pentagrams here. And the way I grabbed this audio is different from the actual audio file, so it's probably not going to be as clean. I had to basically bounce it. But if we try to get the raw file, we might be able to see it even better. So let's try that. So here it is. Let's see if we can get a closer look. Oh yeah, there they are. Here's the pentagram very clearly. And it's pretty easy to do this, folks. It's not difficult. Here's the 666. Let me see here. Let me try to get a better view of this. There's the pentagram. There's the 666. And nothing crazy. It's just, people can embed certain things in the audio and in the frequency range, and it's pretty easy to do.
So the harmonics of the very, if you will, the frequencies of God's creation. I tell people this. Remember this. God said, let there be light. Sound preceded light.
And the best we know is it has something to do with sound waves. Isn't that interesting? Mm-hmm. But if they can, but is the sound waves, because the New Testament also says that everything is held together by Jesus, who was the incarnation of the Word of God, right?
Okay, so I've never heard of putting an image in an audio track, but I can tell you this, that an image can be changed into, what was it, an audio file? I've literally had an image, I've done this with my art, so that's why I'm trying to explain it. I have images where they're called glitches, where you can go and change an audio file, a visual file into an audio file, and then back to a visual file, and it's got like these matrix-like glitches to it just naturally.
Wow.
It's really, really cool and crazy, and you should check it out if you get a chance. But I mean,
is it Satan?
It might be possible. If that's possible, I don't disbelieve it.
I'll put the little snippet in the edited version so y'all can look back at it. But yeah, I mean, it's just subliminal messaging. We think it's silly. I mean, we don't, but like most people think it's not real or silly or whatever. But the people in charge of this world have put a lot of stock in the power of subliminal messaging.
The American flag thing, or the national anthem that he showed us, blew my mind. I couldn't stop thinking about that.
That's all you need to see to know that they take it very seriously.
It sounded like that was it.
It's it was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
We're getting pounded with thousands of those, and we don't even know. I mean, don't you guys
even
have
in
opinions
Disney
about
movies,
things? Like, where did I get
even
that
with
opinion?
kids. Right. So you got to realize, we've been conditioned without even knowing it since we were born.
For
Not
sure.
even since since those Disney movies came out, but since we were born. I mean, things that we are unaware of. Just imagining the things we are aware of, imagine the things we aren't. That's kind of the scary part, I guess. But I mean, there's enough evidence that like there's sexual themes in like The Little Mermaid and like crap like that. It's just like kind of mind blowing. It's just like why would they simply write the word sex in the sand? It doesn't make any sense. You know, this is like
Disney
a
had to redo
7-year-old
The Little
movie.
Mermaid before they released it.
Disney is so
There was
Messed
so
up.
many-
demonic. Thank you. It is.
I had an odd attraction to him as a child, and now I completely know why. I'm
Mickey
fucked
Mouse
up
or
myself.
Walt
Ooh,
Disney?
Excuse me.
We got $1. We're making money.
Well, I can relate to Disney. He's like, I don't know, that guy is fascinating. Let's just yes. Let's just put it that
I mean,
way.
he passed away, and like everybody took control of what he originally, or like.
But I
originally
feel like
sold.
even
So who knows if
originally
Disney
his
was
original
actually
ideas were
that
very
person,
messed up.
you know?
His original ideas were very messed up, though. So I don't know if there's been any change in that, but I mean, it's definitely not a change because he wanted it for the better.
I think that there's a lot of young ladies that feel that they have a missed opportunity because when they become adults, they don't have that princess dream come true. You know,
We
I
had
really
princess
think that-
programming.
yeah,
for
watching
sure.
all those
Princess
movies
programming.
makes you feel like you have to be at a certain timeline, a certain place in your life, and you know if it doesn't happen, you know it's not a fairy tale ending.
Oh,
See, so what it does that right there can start depression.
It
and,
might
and
be-
And
self-shaming.
there's a lot of
Little kids.
abuse involved too, like the Beauty and the Beast. Like I was watching that. That was one of my favorites. It's like, you know, the Beast was obviously very abusive, and then she loved it. She loved that guy, and then kept going back. He like killed her dad and everything, and like
No, he
she's
didn't.
or whatever.
Oh, wow, I didn't know.
He did not kill her dad.
Whatever happened, it was enough for
kept
me.
her
I'm like,
Stories are bad,
you know,
but-
watching back at that as an adult, you're like, wow, I like looked up to this guy as like some husband like role model as a child. And now I wonder why I'm in the circumstances I am. It's like,
Walt
Hi.
Disney, fuck,
Tale
I'm
as
gonna
old as
kick him. Let's go. You know
time.
what? Let's go give his kids a lawn job. That's how you get even with somebody.
a lawn job.
It's a joke. It's actually
It
we
must
were gonna
be a
give some
suburban
lawn.
joke.
All right, let's purpose.
Oh wait, check out.
What's a lawn job?
Check out.
That's where you literally don't know.
You get in your car and you spin it.
Yeah, thank you, dude. You get on someone's grass and
everybody's
you
done that
floor it and spin it. I mean, you destroy
don't
their
know.
lawn,
And you pull away like.
laughing, and
I know
then
the
your car
TV
breaks
thing.
down a
I've
half
never
mile
done
away
that
and the
part, I
police
guess.
get
I
you.
don't know.
That's never happened to me though, so whatever.
Yeah, you shouldn't be on people's lawns. But that's
Okay.
Lawn jobs, new to me.
Yeah.
Purpose in life. We're gonna come back to this one because this is one of the very deep ones. And I'll just say this: when I stopped working for myself, for my own ego, Meegs, I think that's what you were talking about, for my own
Yeah.
glory, because right now, me and Meegs and I, we know that when you start to worry about other people and just work for them, dude, your fulfillment level. You know what? I would rather be happy and poor than be rich and suicidal.
Yep.
Not that you have to make that decision, but
I'm quoting
that's
you right
kind of where I was for a while. All right, let's get back into a little bit of the semantics so we can somewhat stay on point. Here's the Disney logo, which you brought up.
Okay.
Do you guys see anything demonic in that?
Yeah.
What really? Because I did not see
do.
anything. I didn't see anything.
Well, I didn't see it till I was
see
researching.
the.
What do you
I
see?
need to know, Tony.
3 6s.
Oh, wow.
Where?
I see an I in the D.
Okay, I see 2 of them.
I don't.
Anyone
What
see
is it,
anyone
Tony?
see a snake?
Yep.
Are you counting
No.
And the
the
S.
top of the I is the 6? The O?
Yep.
Okay,
Oh,
so
the
I see
snake
'em.
is the S.
There's your snake.
Disney's
Okay.
turned around.
All right, so when people would say Disney's demonic back, early on when I still didn't get a full, I'd be like, okay, dude, whatever. But you got to understand, the devil hides in the last place you would think. Now, when I found out that this is in fact, because when I look at this, even now, I'm like, I can't say that this is demonic for sure. I mean, there's a lot of logos you can stretch you can make things out of that might not be there. This might just have been the guy's signature, right?
No.
But it did get confirmed because I'm going to go down to the next image. So here's the art of Disney. Here's the Disney store. And look what they did. They took the 3 6s, separated them off, and put them together.
Oh, wow.
That is not an accident. And that is not a signature. That is
Bizarre.
ownership. That is allegiance. That is, doesn't mean everyone at Disney is a Satanist,
Most
all right?
people aren't.
It might only be
Most
the
people
top,
aren't.
like Michael Eisner. I don't know if he's still the head of it.
So that's 9/11 on Die Hard.
It was 9/11 on Die Hard.
I love me some
Okay.
Bruce Willis.
All right, let's start. We're going to begin our game. You ready?
Yes.
Yep.
Do you guys see anything that is predictive programming, any Illuminati, anything on this image?
9/11
Raina,
on
if
Die
you
Hard.
want to,
One eye.
The plane.
one eye, that's good.
Plane going into the building.
Okay. Looks like 2 buildings on
Right.
fire, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
see the number 11.
There's lights pointing up to where the plane's probably hit, right?
Do you guys see the eye in the pyramid?
Where's the pyramid?
Let me help you find it.
Okay.
Ah.
Whoa.
Pull a half a pyramid. Yeah.
Well, if you tilt your head.
A half a
Turn it.
Turn it 45 degrees down,
Right.
Sid. And you've got your eye right at the top of the pyramid.
Whoa, yeah, that's kind of weird.
Normal stuff. What do you guys see here?
All the
6s.
sixes again. I'm on to you.
Have we talked about CERN before?
No.
Yeah,
We
no,
have.
no,
Slightly.
CERN.
Slightly.
Largest machine ever built in the history of mankind. It has a circumference of 17 miles, or the diameter, I believe, of 17 miles. Magnets accelerate particles to crash into each other roughly at the speed of light. It is sort of like trying to, if you glue a house together, that's like the world we're in. What they're trying to do is to break down the glue before it hardened. That's what we're doing, and we're actually opening up gateways. Now,
Gateways to other worlds?
yes, to other dimensions. Now, what it really is a gateway to literally to hell.
It's in CERN, Switzerland. Now, you may not be aware of what's going on over there, but there's a thing over there that's called a Large Hadron Collider, and it is an accelerator. It accelerates particles and then brings them to the point of collision.
What on earth are you doing at CERN? In a sentence, how would you explain it?
In a sentence, I would say what we're trying to do is understand the universe around us as well as we possibly can.
Is that the way you would characterize what's happening at CERN?
That's the hope, of course. And every scientist is like a child that is playing on the throne, as you know.
And what they're doing there at CERN is they're trying to discover subatomic particles and shatter these protons and see what the subatomic particles are made out of. But they're looking for things like quarks, and they're looking for gluon.
Reality. This is core stuff. This is the very fabric and essence of creation. People who have twisted it and distorted it really don't want you to tell the truth. Somebody said the most dangerous thing is to be right when the government's wrong.
Well, this physics, which no one knows yet in this realm, also contains dangers. And I'm a little concerned about the dangers.
There are parallel realities around us, other dimensions, and there could be other intelligence there. However, there's a reason God put them on the other side of that veil, and you might not want to open the door.
And so CERN basically is a device that will allow them to examine particles in their initial state, not after everything is bonded together. That's a very simple way to look at what CERN is doing. They're trying to find the glue that holds everything together.
Now, here's
AC/DC
Aren't
predicted
they
this
using
one.
dark matter?
yes. Well, no, they use antimatter.
I like this girl. She
Dark matter is the unknown something that must be in space, because every year more scientists figure out that gravity is not what's making all this thing work, so they have to assign more and more responsibility to dark matter. They make antimatter.
Now, what has come out of CERN is called antimatter, which was first actually produced. It was first produced in 1955. And CERN is a very old organization. but it was produced in 1955, and they found positrons, which are anti-electrons. To understand what antimatter is, I'm going to have to explain the very bare basics of what matter is. And believe me, it's going to get very weird here shortly, because you're going to begin to see exactly what they're doing. But you have to understand what you're looking at now. Matter and antimatter are in fact opposites.
Now you can hear there's so many scientists that have dropped out of CERN because a little droplet of antimatter, one that was released in a college town, literally drove the town insane.
Some of the not so good consequences of this process has to do with the human psyche. They once kept dark matter in a college. I won't name it for the sake of the college, but the university. They had to move it to a deep underground facility because of what was happening to the people in the college. People began to have vivid dreams, nightmares. The violence began to erupt, and vile things began to happen in those places. And it's because it's a chaotic piece of matter. It is just chaotic. Antimatter cannot be controlled. When they first produced antimatter, they had to have a facility to contain it, because unlike the wood, where you have to have a reaction to cause it to burn, antimatter, you have to have a containment to cause it not to burn. And it takes very large and expensive facilities to contain just 1 gram. If those containment devices fail, they cause megaquakes. That's what happens when they fail. Now, we're talking small, tiny drops of antimatter. It's highly unstable. It has to be isolated from the rest of reality.
CERN has fired up its engines. It's getting ready to conduct the most powerful experiments ever done on the face of the Earth by colliding literally hundreds of millions of particles together at just under the speed of light.
It brings out, it's sort of like it is like a hyperlink from a demonic world into this one.
This
now that
sounds made up.
Hang on.
Sounds made up.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes.
Sounds like Bird Box.
Okay.
It just sounds weird.
So I'm just listening to the scientists tell me, and we'll get into
what
CERN.
they're trying to do is on a beyond subatomic, I would say subdimensional level. They're trying to blast apart creation.
But they studied the science behind paranormal activity and have then defined that this is called a dimensional slip, where things can obviously interact with this world all the time.
What most classic physicists learn is what they're told in universities.
Sure.
Demonic entities and all these other paranormal things are attracted to antimatter. They're attracted to it. For every gram of antimatter that's produced, and then it's bought into this world, when they produce it, it attracts things from another dimension coming here.
And that things can and do come through those doorways. You and I both believe not only do they come through the doorways, but a time is coming when prophecy says those gates are going to be fully opened, and then it's going to be like the floodgates of literally hell on earth is going to spill over into the earth.
You believe there's something a little more sinister going on, as far as CERN, and I actually take that view as well.
Sure.
So what is it, which they have stated that they are trying to go within the dimensions, that's their stated fact.
A lot of people like to think of antimatter as the other dimension, which is the opposite of this dimension. It's an inconceivable place that is hostile inherently. It's not under control. It's very hostile.
Here's what I worry about coming out of that place, is all this spirit deception, using it to deceive people. They connect spirituality and science together. Imagine what kind of a union that would have. Science and spirituality. Not Christ, but science and spirituality joined together. Man, they've got what they want when that happens.
It broke ground in 1954, and the purpose was for modeling in computers nuclear warheads, the yield of nuclear warheads. And so really it's a weapons program, but most people don't really understand that. Today it is a particle accelerator that is used for nuclear research, but it is also their own press releases, their own stated goal is to open an interdimensional gateway, a portal
And that's
to
a
another
stated
dimension.
goal.
That is a stated goal from their own press release.
And here's the thing. Their own director of CERN has gave interviews to the British press in which he admits that's what they're trying to do. They want to open a door to another dimension. And he said, when we open this door, he said, something might come through it into our reality, or he said, we might send something through it into their reality. You can look that up. It's in the British press.
That when you have the head of CERN making that type of announcement, you know, it absolutely should cause people to take note. Now, some have taken note.
So that's where the Higgs boson, the God particle dialogue comes in.
What they're looking for is a higher explanation of how everything works. This is the particle they're searching for. Now, they found half of it. That was the Higgs field. Now, the Higgs field is an explanation of they found the traces of the Higgs field. They can now observe the Higgs field. The Higgs field is what is found wherever matter is not. They can begin to alter reality as we know it.
However, there's another type of particle. It's a quark gluon condensate, otherwise known as strangelets. They happen to be the most powerful explosive in the known universe.
It's a nuclear bomb, like the Hiroshima bomb, which takes pounds of nuclear material to cause it to react. And it has to be very precise. Well, let's go the opposite. Let's say we had antimatter, correct? If we had 1 gram of antimatter, that would equal about 42 or 40, let's just say 45 kilotons of TNT, which is about 4 Hiroshima bombs.
1 gram of antimatter is 4 times more powerful than what blew up Nagasaki and Hiroshima. You don't want that in the hands of the wrong person.
There's one other thing that's very interesting about CERN, and that is they're trying to find the theoretical particle graviton, but they believe not only is graviton capable of moving into other dimensions, this is part of string theory, but they think that if it can, then they might use it as a way to communicate, put it together like strings of zeros and ones in computer language or something, and communicate with whatever is over there on the other side. And
they found the force that holds the dark energy or the dark matter away from this realm. They call it the wall. There's another name for that, a name of which that those particles they're going to find, they found part of it. They're going to find the other pieces that are in that wall. And when they find the other pieces to this wall, they will then be able to undo that wall. There's another name for that wall, the veil.
I began to see the dark side manifesting itself. I began to see the occult agenda. Let's take a snapshot. Outside the headquarters offices at CERN, everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people are familiar with the statue of Shiva, the goddess of destruction. Actually, it's a man-woman merging deity, but it is the god of destruction. So why that? Then you look at last year, they produced their video called Synergy.
Yes.
Okay, that's a demonic ritual to communicate with the other side. If you know anything about the occult side, you begin to recognize the symbolism and the ritual dances for what they are. Okay? So what you have presented full on in our face for the whole world to see, they're not trying to hide, they put up the images of the opening of the interdimensional portal as part of this opening ceremony for this tunnel, the longest tunnel in the world. Okay? They also have Baphomet, right? The goat.
The guy, yeah.
Exactly, and all these other, representations of demonic entities dancing around and parading around. If you know something about demons, if you know something about theology, if you know something about Christian religion, and you take your foundation of knowledge and you look at this, it jumps out at you.
I find it interesting that the symbology of CERN is the Hindu deity Shiva.
It's just like, why is there a statue of Shiva at a scientific laboratory, CERN, where scientists will say, I'm an atheist. Okay, well, what's this religious statue doing here?
In ways. Here we have, in CERN, Switzerland, a huge wheel. Inside that wheel is a Hindu god, and his name is Shiva. He does a dance of destruction inside that wheel, and his purpose is he is one of the triad gods, one of the greatest gods of Hinduism. Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma. Brahma is the god of creation. Vishnu is the god of preservation. But Shiva is the god of destruction. The way the Hindu sees it is that when Shiva destroys, it's not for the purpose of annihilation. He destroys so that Brahma can come and recreate.
What is their real agenda? Their agenda is spiritual in origin.
Now we've already know the goddess of destruction, Shiva.
See, that shows you.
We also know that this is a military type complex, and they're doing Lucifer sacrifices on their property, caught on camera. We've got 666s here. We've got demonic parades going on for the opening of CERN. But again, what does the Bible say about it?
The Bible says, quit swearing.
The Bible said that one of the gates of hell is going to be in the city of Abaddon.
Abaddon, yeah.
Greek, it's called Apollyon. Well, where is it? Yeah. There's a city that's been built over it, and it's called CERN, Switzerland.
Oh, great.
It is right over a biblical gateway to the demonic world. Is that an accident? Could these ancient scriptures, 2,000, could they just have been lucky?
St. Genus Quayle, that's the name of the township, but in ancient days it was called Apollyon. It was literally a temple to the god Apollo because they believed that's the gateway to the underworld.
So in Revelation chapter number 9, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. We have some of the greatest scientists in the world that are becoming very religious.
Well, the late friend of both of ours, David Flynn, when he would write about the Ouroboros, I was interesting that we would be talking about this because CERN in the dimension of the particle accelerator is a type, actually, of the Ouroboros.
And the Ouroboros, for those that don't understand, is this serpent swallowing its tail. It's an ancient symbol.
It's an ancient symbol, but it's based on the Milky Way and its motion. I was contacted by a group of scientists through a third party claiming that they're seeing entities. And when you hear that it's been shut down for a crumb or some other hokey excuse, no, that's not the case. I can tell you, one time it was shut down, somebody intervened, okay? I don't know who, but somebody intervened, obviously God, and used a group of individuals to do it. And interestingly enough, they claim they were able to gate in and gate out.
And they are definitely being connected with Shiva as they're finding things. Let me give you one example. In one of their collisions, when they collided these particles together, they saw things. They were apparitions they didn't expect to see. They didn't fit in any model. They didn't fit anywhere. They don't belong, but they could not deny the reality of it. Something was going on inside there that they could not explain. And it was scary for them.
We as Christians know that we are in a spiritual battle, right?
Dark matter is going to be produced in great numbers. In greater and greater numbers. Not only the matter, but the energy signature is going to also be released into this realm. You know what that's going to cause? It's going to cause the dark energy signature within people to begin to activate more and more. You see, it's going to become difficult for people to stay contained or controlled. In essence, they're going to become violent. They're going to have vivid dreams. The darkness within a person is absolutely going to begin to surface. And this is not theoretical. This is not some theory somebody thought of. This is absolutely 100% quantifiable, and it's happened before. It's going to happen in greater numbers this time. I was thrust into a position where I had to absolutely 100% fight to keep my flesh under full subjection. I could not believe the intensity of what was happening. My thoughts were all over the place. It was almost like every evil thing that was in me came to the surface with a snap of a finger. irritation, aggravation, anxiety, fear, just anger, hatred, all sorts of things in the snap of a finger. The only thing that kept me still, the challenge was to be still. The only thing that kept me still, I had to absolutely 100% focus on the Lord.
Revelation chapter number 4 is the door to heaven. When he catches up his saints to meet him in the clouds, we're going through the door into heaven. But he will open the gate of hell on this earth. And according to Revelation chapter number 9, these beings are coming up out of the earth. If you'll remember when Saul went to the witch of Endor, she said, I saw spirit coming up out of the earth, coming up. What did she see? She saw demons.
Our body is held together by that glue that they're searching for, that bonds matter together. I'll put this in basic terms. A person has both dark and light already in them. It's part of their makeup. It's what you can't live in a material world without antimatter. Nothing would exist. And so a person has both good energy, which would be this realm, this realm of matter, but they also have energy of antimatter. So they're connected. A person is connected to both realms at the same time on the energy level, and they don't even know it. That's also been weaponized. Nobody knows this, and I probably won't be in trouble for this, but they have a weapon concerning dark matter that they can put within a country or a specific place to cause chaos. It's a weapon. They've used it before. They can unleash this, and it can cause chaos anywhere they want chaos to be rampant. I was amazed. I didn't know this could be harnessed in that way. I did not know, but it happened, and this was a weapon. This was a mild weapon. And the dark matter can then come into this realm through people. That's in fact what they discovered in 1950. That people can also produce dark matter by way of, it's very minute, it's very tiny, but it's measurable. They also know how much of that energy signature a person must have before an entity from that realm can possess them.
Where they have done this experimentation, strange things are happening, unexpected by the scientist. Paranormal phenomena, they like to call it. Apparitions, ghosts, all kinds of demonic spirits are beginning to manifest themselves.
There is now the global release of a supernatural evil.
The reason I took you to Revelation is because in the 9th chapter of Revelation, what you just read, is the gate of hell.
Because those entities, we're talking about seducing and deceiving spirits. We're talking about a supernatural group of beings or entities that are now basically influencing the willing dupes on earth.
And this other realm is going to begin to spill over in multiple places, everywhere. Violence will increase.
Or is that just...
Look, there are
Like 13
many,
ghosts?
many different types of spirit beings.
You don't remember that movie, 13 Ghosts?
There are different punishments for different angels. So the Watcher angels, of which there were 200. Now, these are the ones that were able to somehow mix their DNA with the DNA of man and all animals, which I used to think was a ridiculous story.
How do you feel about it again?
I've seen enough now to know that it's just one of those many things where the Bible is actually telling us the truth.
That's what you're
Believed
and
that when the Watchers came down in the days of Noah's, in the days of Jared, and Noah's great grandfather, in essence they were using human material, blending it with animal material, creating a life form outside of the divine order. But why would they want to do that? Well, Peter and Jude both quote the book of Enoch.
Absolutely.
It's saying that their purpose for doing that was they wanted to leave their fixed habitation, their place in heaven. And they saw that new biological construct as a portal, a way, a method to move from their reality into our three-dimensional reality. So
angelic beings are without a doubt among us.
Are they all good or are they all
They're
evil?
not all good.
Okay, so
not
some
without
are
a
evil.
doubt. They hover around
them are
who lets us
undercovers.
look. If you do things that allow dark spirits in you, and you're headed for hell, you're gonna have a good life. It's gonna be nice and calm. No, there's not gonna be a lot of disruption. Lack of disruption is not a good thing. It's a horrible thing.
I know that people will come under some strange attacks, some strange occurrences and incidents. I know that the only way they can be protected from such things is their unqualified belief in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You can't fake it. There is no substitute.
The reason why so many people perish for lack of knowledge, because again, in going up against things that they cannot define in their own context, they cannot understand no matter how they try and wrap around their brain, because it's a question of spiritual discernment. People will be, how do I say this, overwhelmed emotionally. They'll be psychologically devastated. They'll be overpowered intellectually. They won't have the right biblical understanding to deal with this stuff, and that's what we do.
Can you imagine something that has created earthquakes, that has made apparitions appear, that you've got scientists warning, don't do this, you don't know what you're going to unleash? Maybe there's a greater purpose in all of that they're not even aware of, and he's called Satan. Maybe he intends to bring chaos on this earth. Here it comes. Chaos.
The whole idea is just to fulfill the devil's desire, and that's to kill every last man, woman, and child on the face of the earth, so that there would be no flesh left alive. And what does God say? That would happen, but for the sake of the elect, those days will be short.
We have the power to overcome our own flesh, because the darkness in this world is about to be pulled out of everything. Everything with darkness in it. That darkness is about to surface in a way that no one ever forecasted or thought possible, but it's absolutely going to take place.
The only way the only crowds you have in this country today are the crowds that are pumped up by rock and rap, and it's all about love, self-love, and positive attitudes, and money and me, myself and I. I'm in love with me. I'm in love with myself, and I'm in love with I. You've got the people to the point to where they can be moved emotionally, not intellectually, but emotionally. Anything stirs people today. They got crowd mentality. They got mob mentality.
What they fail to adopt from the Bible, what they fail to believe, is going to harm them.
How close could we be to the second coming of our Lord Jesus Christ? How close could we be? How close?
Complacency.
Some people have spirit, like Meigs for certainty has the Spirit of God in her. Most people can just feel it. At some point, you don't just, I think in an afternoon, have the Holy Spirit move in and dark spirit. This is a process, and there's going to be a fight. In fact, the Bible says they'll get kicked out once, go get some of their buddies, and they're going to come back 7 times stronger.
Oh my gosh.
So you don't know yet what is ahead.
That makes so much sense
good
to
and
me.
evil for years and within myself. They'll think about the.
And that's
life
what I
I've
was
had.
thinking about that, because I think
I've already been through that.
This is what I love about your heart, is I think you're a person that always has good intentions.
Yeah.
Fair to say?
Oh yeah.
And I think that's ultimately, God doesn't judge on results or on acts. He cares about what your heart is.
Yeah.
And that's why he hated the Pharisees, because they acted all good, but inside they were junk.
Well, look at Ted Bundy.
But who did he love? The people that looked like junk on the outside, but inside were gems.
Yeah. Makes sense.
All right, Meeks, any thoughts on anything?
Well, I was just going to add that, you know how they say faith is a virtue? And I had always had huge problems with that. I was just like, what kind of BS are we talking about when we're talking about faith? How is that belief in something? How is that a virtue or virtuous at all? I mean, I need evidence. And, I'll have beliefs once I have evidence, right, for sure. But the Bible says, our wisdom is not, is not God's wisdom. And for God, he doesn't want blind faith but he's the kind of God that is not just going to come down and do like a dog and pony show for us at our command either. And he rewards us if we have love for him and faith in him based on his word. And that's just something that, you know, I've come to learn over a period of time.
So like building a trust with God almost.
You know, salvation, I'll just add in, salvation is not based on works, like how good you can be, but it is based purely on faith that God is who he says he is in his word, that and belief that Jesus died for your sins. That is the only way that we'll get salvation. But I mean, just a word of warning, because I mean, so many people will tell you, and that's our culture, like, oh, how good do I have to be to get into heaven? And hopefully, you know, in this show we can kind of untangle that and just dispel that myth.
I don't think there's a good level or a bad level.
There is not a
you're not.
single human being that has ever been good enough to get into heaven. That's the whole point of why Jesus had to come in like this mafia-type sacrifice. He had to, in a sense, vouch for the rest of humanity and take what was coming for us. This was something symbolic. This is something in divine law that it opened up like a clause that allows a bunch of people, i.e. humanity, to be able to get into a holy place without being holy. Because we blew it, and we genetically inherit. It is really a generational curse that began with Adam and Eve. And believe me, I used to argue on behalf of evolution, but once I actually looked into the science, it is so laughable. And what's laughable is all the scientists know it's laughable. The only people telling us evolution is real is the television set, which are the same people that control our school books. But I've sat around with the professors before. They don't have the guts to say it in their class because they don't want to lose their job. Understood. That's scary to go out there like that. But they're like, do you understand? They're part of the system. And I think there's a reason God hates cowards, because those cowards are actually moving Satan's agenda along because they're keeping quiet. And that
we need a doctor that does not care about his job, that cares about people around him and his own well-being, stuff like that. We need one of those.
So the point is,
not paid off.
The only people that believe in evolution are really the sheep that believe Columbus discovered America. They're just brainwashed, just completely brainwashed. And it's so easy to see.
Religion unto itself, scientism, the blind worship of science, which a lot of it is bought, sold, and paid for. It's not real science, a lot of it.
Right. I've heard how some of these scientific experiments and all this stuff goes, and it's all manipulated. So it's like whoever does the study decides the outcome. So
exactly.
There's a bias in testing, but it goes even deeper than that, because who runs all the foundations that fund all this sort of stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Those people. Why are these kids starving? Well, it doesn't even make any sense. The money never gets
Jared
to them.
Took their sandwich.
The food never gets to them.
He's in jail.
So this is the part that's appalling to me.
Not
they use these
random
suffering
that
people
he was into
as
kids.
a
Not
what do you
random.
call it?
A prop.
What do you call it though? Clickbait. Clickbait, where look at all the Sarah McLachlan music in the background and all the kids dying, and I'm fat as hell and I got paid $10,000 to do this commercial, but please pity these children. Like, what? The money doesn't even go to them. It's crazy that they're exploiting these poor children in other countries that they've bombed and tried to take over and all this crap. They're not even helping these people to try to get a dollar that's not even getting to them.
Let's get through some images that are going to support what you say. We got, like 5 minutes, 4 minutes, give or take? Three? Okay.
Yeah,
3 minutes.
We're not going to cover everything, nor do we ever seem to cover the stuff that we want to cover. But
we've got lots of time.
We did talk about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse last week, right?
We did.
Meeks, what color are the horses?
White, red, black, and is it gray?
Well, they call it the pale horse. But the color in Greek, it's palish green. Okay, you see what's on screen?
Yeah.
I do not.
All right, you guys agree?
I can't read it all.
Just the colors, just the color. You don't need to read.
I
Forget
do
reading
agree
it. We're
the colors
just
are white, red, black, and
okay.
green.
Do those colors mean anything to you guys? You guys see
What
that?
is like the Italian flag or something?
Okay, so here's a commercial from Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you guys remember when this came out. And the thing is this Coke commercial, yeah, of course it could be random.
I hate Coke. And,
And
and
you guys,
everything it has to do with
if you're a household name company, at the end of the day, you are Illuminati controlled, and the message comes through tens of thousands of
they're
entities
the reason
like Coke.
the whole city of Flint is in distress right now, and I absolutely hate them. I hate
All right,
the owner.
we're
I hate
gonna
everything.
pick on Coke a little bit.
Please let me pick
But
on
let's
Coke.
look where their allegiance is,
I
because
want to go with Coke. in the
what are
rest
they
of the
waiting
world.
for here right now? The four horsemen of the apocalypse, and they even have them in the right order. The white horse comes first, then the red, then the black, then the green.
Wow.
White, red, black, green.
Wow.
Same order as in Coke. Now, do those
Crazy.
colors look... Because the four horsemen are going to destroy most of Earth. Let's look at something else that...
Drink Coke, destroy the
I did
earth.
not put this together. A man by the name of
Right, it's a
Steve
new slogan.
Cicciolanti did this. This is his work.
Steve Cicciolanti.
Was very impressed by it because he realized that
That's
out
what I'm saying.
all of the flags of the Middle East. God's nation is Israel. So take out the blue flag right here.
Okay.
Every other flag has the color combo of the
Which
four
one is
horsemen.
The blue one?
Well, here's the
Wow.
Israel.
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 Oh,
So I
okay.
mean, Israel's biggest enemies: Palestine, same color scheme; Syria, same color scheme; Jordan, a neighbor, same. Egypt hates them. Kuwait, they're more indifferent, but Lebanon, they hate them. Same color scheme.
You think they're telling them they're sending a message here?
Yeah.
No, no. I'm not making drawing any conclusions. We're gonna do one. We're gonna do Apple, then we're gonna sign off, and we're out of here. in a
Okay.
minute.
Well, all right.
Adam and Eve.
What do you guys see with Apple?
Adam and Eve.
This is Satan's first victory, right?
Absolutely.
Ate the apple.
My bad, you guys. I messed it up. for
No, Adam and
everybody.
Eve. You had it right. Okay, now, would you be surprised to find out that the very first computer that they sold, what do you think the price of it was?
666.
Raina, what do you think it was?
Says right there.
Come on.
That's what I thought.
weird.
$666.66. First Apple computer. This is
Weird.
this was a significant stock trading day for Apple. It was not the cost of their computer because this is 10 years after they started. So there are places where you can see the predictive programming. These are the Illuminati cards that came out in 1995, obviously showing the Twin Towers, which 6 years later would be blown up. These were in circulation, documented in 95, and it wasn't just
As well as the
Quite
Simpsons,
expensive
which
now.
we
Wrap
talked
up,
about
guys.
before.
All right, guys, look.
We need to tell everybody.
Jesus
thank you
is
for
real,
watching.
so is evil. Don't understand that however smart you think you are, the devil is just so much smarter than you. So do not get cocky about what you think you know, because you'd be very surprised. Just get close to God and trust him. If you're not sure how to do it, just ask him. Just go, God, if you're real, let me know. And he will start doing stuff in your life.
All
Anyone
right,
else
thank
have
you.
anything to
No,
add?
Thank you for
Raina,
everybody who
thanks
watched.
for joining
Energy.
us.
We look
Hi,
forward
Helen.
we look forward to communicating with all of you guys next week, watching, listening.
What I'm about to say is fact. The secret organizations of the world power elite are no longer secret. They have planned and are now leading us into a one-world communism.
ODD TV. Take a journey with me deep inside the rabbit hole. Wake up, my friends, there's some things that you have to know. Everything you ever thought you knew, it has to go. For instance, NASA is the world's largest magic show. 9/11 was a planned demolition and Sandy Hook was a scam. Come on, man, are you tripping? Constant programming being crammed in your vision. Just take a step back and examine this prison. Turn on the news and they're trying to blind you. All they ever do is tell you lies and divide you. There's nowhere you can even hide, they'll find you. Illuminati all-seeing eye right behind you. It's about time you find out we're being lied to. They're attempting to control the mind that's inside you. Hide you from the power that designed you. Does anybody have a problem with this? Well, I do. I want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. They say they got it.